Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's been a while since I shot a video, and I'm back out here on the farm this afternoon, and I was going through something other, and I thought, well, this would be a good moment to teach something. Let me see if I could educate people on the refining world a little bit. And some of this will be for some of you consumer guys, some of this will be for the refiners, but maybe some of you find some education in all this rambling. But what it is I'm trying to come up with a little bit of extra money today. For the ones of you that don't know me, I'm a crawfisherman, and I'm setting back up to run a commercial crawfish operation again. As a child, I grew up on the Tennessee River, and my father was a commercial fisherman, and we commercial crawfish, catfish. We made a living from it. There was 6 of us kids, and hell, I guess you got to feed them kids somehow or another. But I grew up as a fisherman, and got away from that as my roots when I got into other things in life. But I find myself coming back to the old school ways. It's like gold refining. There's not many gold refiners out there, places to learn it from. And there's really not that many commercial fishermen out there. Everything's multinational corporations nowadays. Just like you don't have the small farmer no more. Hell, you don't have the small fisherman anymore. Government regulations, foreign competition. Hell, back during them days, though, we didn't quite have so much involved. Now that I'm setting up a new operation, I'm learning it's a whole different world nowadays. But what I'm doing is I got to buy some equipment for my operation. And since I don't like taking money out of my pocket, I thought, well, where can I get some? And I thought, well, let me grab a bucket. And, in the refining world, if you're a mechanic, you got car parts sitting everywhere all over your shop. If you're a farmer, you got tractor parts all over the place. Whatever you do, you got parts of your trade. Well, as a gold refiner, I guess you'd say I got parts of my trade. And what I'm doing today is I'm actually doing a little gold penning. And I'll explain to y'all what that is here in just a few minutes. But I'm trying to make money to buy some more equipment for my crawfishing operation. It's going to start back up this spring. And, let me explain something to y'all. There's lots of different commodities in the world. I've dealt with all kinds of different commodities. Even your time and your service is a commodity that can be bought and sold on an open exchange. Well, crawfish is sort of the same way, and like I said, there's not a lot of folks that want to be crawfishermen nowadays. If I had to learn that when I was young, I wouldn't know anything about it now. So who's going to pass this and teach it on? But I'm starting back up my crawfish operation because it's a commodity. Food is a commodity. And right now, with the state of the economy and the way the bankers and commodity traders are killing us on Wall Street right now as far as the commodity prices go, I'm transitioning into another commodity field. And it's the commodity of food. There's a lot of things that people always need in society. Need gold and silver, but hey, you need food too. So, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take y'all from A to Z today through one of the processes in refining. And for you guys that are refiners out there, this will help explain some things to y'all. And when you send something to a gold refiner, they give you what they call an accountability. And a lot of them will lie to you and say, oh, we got 100% accountability. Bullshit. Nothing's 100% accurate, let me tell you. But most refiners will give you 98%, 97% accountability on your lot. And what that is there's a certain percentage lost. Now, it's not really lost, it's just that we can't reclaim it at the time because it's not cost effective. But before we dispose of our waste streams, we gather and segregate this material up, and in the end it actually becomes an added benefit, an added revenue stream, and an added source for refiners. Now, I've got two ways I operate. I have a commercial operation, and I started out as a hobbyist refiner. I didn't know jack shit about this when I started out doing this. It started out as a hobby and just spread for me. And I don't really do it to make money. I do it for the gold and the silver. Because later on, you know, hey, all my effort and work that I've put into recovering this now will pay off in the future. If not for me, hey, then for my children. Another foreign member taught me that, Harold. Harold, when he retired, Harold retired healthy. Well, that's sort of my savings plan. But every now and then, I need money for something, you know. My kids might want to go somewhere, or I might need something, or something might come up unexpected. And instead of taking cash out of my cash flow or revenue stream, I just reach over and I grab a bucket. Now, like I said, tractor folks got tractor parts. I got gold and silver laying around. And, well, I'll show you some here. This is a little cup I just had sitting up there, and it's got some leftover gold shot and a gold coin that was left over from a lot that was processed. And this was some imported gold that I recovered. And over here, I probably got 5 pounds of recovered silver. And I'm going to explain to y'all where each added benefit as it is in this recovery system. Now, as refiners, we're taught about the stock pot. Well, these are filter residues and byproducts of refining, basically, is what it is. And here I've got a bunch of cemented silver that was probably from gold-filled lots that was processed. And this appears to be an anode bar for a silver cell that I had set up one time. And, you know, I got a couple of boxes of these anode bars sitting around here. And hell, that's probably... hell, that's a couple of 100 grams of silver. That's a quarter pound of silver hanging off the end of that copper wire right there. But what we're here to discuss today is filter residues. You know, we've got our stock pot where we recover certain leftover percentages of our gold. Well, all this that I'm explaining today is a byproduct of gold-filled refining. And I'm going to explain gold-filled to you a little bit and where the benefit is and the profit and how to buy it and sell it and, you know. But what I've got here is I've got a bucket of filters, and these are leftover filters from out on the farm. Now, on the commercial operation, I use filter socks, and I have a different method of recovery, but this will demonstrate for you how I got all these residues over here. And what these are is leftover filter cakes that come from refining gold-filled material. Now, when I do specialty refining in-house for a few clients, not my commercial operation, because in the commercial operation you need larger volumes. These are for small people that I've done work for years that are still good friends of mine, and I'll process for them. So I get just about every bit of the materials that are left over from their lots. These are 99% accountability lots is what these are. But this gives you an idea of where the residues come from. Now, what I'll do later on is I'll take and incinerate these, and then I'll shift through these ashes and I'll recover this. Now, in these filter residues, you're going to have little pieces of karat jewelry it didn't digest. You're going to have silver chlorides. In those silver chlorides, you're going to carry gold that gets trapped in this material. It's hard to wash these filter cakes out 100%. You're going to have silver chloride for the silver recovery. Then you're going to have rhodium foils. There's going to be rhodium foils that a lot of gold is gold plated on. And in gold field, when you run through gold field is a trashy material, but it's still a high grade material. I mean, they're digging dirt out the earth out there that doesn't run as high grade as most gold field material does. But with the market price being down, it's hard to make money, but you make money on the buy. You don't make money on the sell. So as long as you're given the right price for it, Goldfield will treat you well. But these are the filter residues from the Goldfield. And what happens is when you run Goldfield, I may get, okay, let's say I got a 10-pound lot of Goldfield. And in that 10-pound lot, there's going to be a certain percentage of that that's a silver base metal. Out of that 10 pounds, you know, there's, say, a pound of silver, 3 pounds of copper, you know, all your metals broken down once they're dissolved out of solution. So whenever I run a Goldfield lot for a client or a customer, what usually happens is they'll send me a 10-pound lot and I'll recover the gold. Now, I give you an accountability on the gold. Now, the silver gets lost in the process. And what I mean by that is, if I only run 10 pounds of Goldfield, it's not worth it for me to run a whole nother process because I have to cement that silver, wash that silver, melt that silver, run that silver through a silver cell. So it's really not worth me going after the silver to try to pay out on small lots. But in the end, these all get recovered in the recovery process at the end. And this is where a lot of them get recovered at. Now, I have silver chlorides that get recovered in a separate process, and there's gold trapped in that. That's a stockpot item. But these are just strictly filter residues. And in the filter residues, there's a certain percentage of silver chlorides that exist in here. But once you run Goldfield through nitric, all your silver is dissolved out and you're left with the gold foils, which are then processed to recover the gold portion of your lot. Well, once you run that through that process, you're left with rhodium foils, you're left with silver in solution, and in Goldfield, a lot of times, there'll be little karat items that are attached to a pendant or something other. So you may have a big Goldfield pendant, but the middle of that will actually have a piece of karat on it, or a post, or a chain link. So if I run a 10-pound lot of Goldfield, I expect to find 2 or 3 pieces of karat jewelry in there. Now, as a client, you may not have checked that well. It may not have been hallmarked. You may have missed it. I've done that with plated items I've run. I found karat materials in them before. So, in an average 10-pound lot of Goldfield, I'll find several karat items in there. So, I take the foils that are recovered from the nitric process and I dissolve them in AR. Now, when you dissolve them in AR, them foils will go into solution easily. But if there's a piece of karat jewelry that come over from the nitric bath, and it's usually 10 karat, what'll happen is it'll silver chloride up. And once you wash the filter and the gold chloride out, you'll have little pieces of karat jewelry that made it through the chloride process and into your filter residues. And it pays to recover them. And I'm going to show you how in just a few minutes that it pays to recover them. Now, let me move over here and move this bucket out the way. And what I have here is I have different steps of the process along the way and what I've done to arrive at these steps. But basically, I take the filters once they've been incinerated and I'll sift them. I'll sift them through this strainer right here. It's just like a spaghetti strainer is what it is. And I'll strain it into this pot right here. And what that does is that gets these bigger pieces out. In all this Goldfield, there's all kinds of cardboard and trash that makes it through here, and you wouldn't believe the stuff that comes out of Goldfield. Pieces of styrofoam, stainless. And let me explain something to you about high stainless in Goldfield. People will send in a Goldfield lot and they'll say, oh, it's 4% or it's 3% or it's this percent. Goldfield experiences a lot of wear in its lifetime. Plus, they don't count the stainless in the weight of the gold field. Plus, the stainless will dissolve in AR, and there's carbon that's left behind from the stainless steel. It will actually rob gold from your solution and wind up in the filter residues and in this real fine dust back here that I'm going to explain in just a minute. You wouldn't believe how gold will get trapped in there. There's a lot of carbon in there and a lot of gold in there, and that makes recovery of this difficult. I have to run different recovery steps just to recover the trash. So we're like 15 or 20 steps past me refining and you getting your gold back. I have to recover all this, incinerate all this, shift all this, sort through all this. Then I have to reprocess all this. But this could be a good little added benefit if you're a refiner. Now, you say to yourself, if you're the little guy, well, that's my money you didn't get, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? I understand because I've been the little guy. And for my little clients, I get every little last bit out. But when you send me a lot of 50 pounds of gold filled, I don't have time to pick through your material for you. You should have had your items segregated before you sent them to me. And if you send me high stainless items, there's going to be an above average percentage loss on that lot. Now, true, I'm going to get it back later on, but look what I got to go through just to get back to this point. Oh, this is added work, so this is added benefit for me. Don't think I'm just getting this for free. Oh, he's getting that for free. He's ripping folks off. My time and my effort, my work is worth something other. This would be akin to you out there digging through a rock pile with your fingers picking up little pieces of gold. Don't you think you deserve that if you're going to get out there till your fingers bleed? Well, that's kind of the way I am on this. So, you know, if you ever wondered where your 2% or 3% go in the commercial world, this is where it goes. And God forbid you got some refining jockey hopped up, I hate to say it, on meth, whatever. But in other words, these refineries don't really have skilled operators. They've got certain processes, they process all their materials same, and they have high losses. I'm recovering this high percentage, and I know what the hell I'm doing. So you could just imagine somebody out there that don't know how to process your material. So if you send a lot off to somebody and them numbers come in way lower than you thought you ever could expect, hey, some of it goes right here. A lot of it goes here if whoever's processing your material don't know what they're doing in the first place. But a lot of it winds up in the end, and it's according to the processor. If you got somebody that's just throwing something in a reactor and they're running it a certain way, they're experiencing high percentage losses. It's not that they're stealing it from you. I mean, outright. In the end, they kind of are stealing it from you because they're going to get it back. But, you know, operator error, I guess, innocent mistake. Ooh wee, yeah, but look how much it cost me over time. You know, if you're just one little guy, imagine that feller having 100 little guys like you out there, and you know what I mean. That's a lot of money to account for right there. So I try to be thrifty. I try to recover everything. And like I said, I'm not trying to recover this because I'm greedy and I'm trying to sell this. I've always enjoyed this. I love doing this right here. I don't, you know, I've done a lot of things in my life, but I can't say that I've ever found one that I enjoy more than gold refining to me. But, okay, the first thing I do is I shift everything through the spaghetti strainer you seen. And then I wind up with a mixture of this, which is kind of like rocky, gravelly. Looks like cat litter. That's what it looks like, cat litter. And in this, there's all kinds of little pieces of crusted up karat that made it through the screen. Just that last little bit that didn't get processed, you know. And inside of each one of them little nuggets, there's a gold center. That's like it's like a Tootsie Roll Pop, you know. When you get to the middle of it, that's where the good stuff's at. This is the same way, but what I got to do is I got to ball mill this, and I want to turn that into a fine powder and dust, and I want to recover that. But in this, if you look, there's all kinds of little diamonds and gems, and you can kind of see them in there. Now, some of them are real diamonds, and rubies and topazes, and I couldn't tell you what all's in there to tell you the truth about it. I got a guy that I send this to that I've been doing refining for years that I trust very much, and what he does is he picks through there what's good and what ain't, and hell, he just, you know, we swap out metals and, you know, things like that for it. And yeah, I know, just send it to him and let him pick them out. Hey, that man sent me more money than I could, you know, if you can't trust your clients, something other's wrong. But over here's kind of what I wind up with when you go to look at it, what's left over. I mean, there is just all kinds. And like I said, a lot of that's trash. But, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I don't know what all them stones are. And I know there's diamonds in there and stuff. But, you know, that's not my job. I trade them out. And over here is a pan that's got a bunch of little stones and stuff in it that really ain't been shifted through. This ain't been classified. But what you can see in there is all them little sparkly things. Them are rhodium foils and rhodium plating. So after I process this for the diamonds, the silver, the gold, I'll go after the rhodium is what I'll do. Now, if you'll look over here, and I'm going to try to get up real close so you can see this. Let me use a pointer. If you look right down here, this is what passed through the screen. But see that little piece right there? That's a link out of a karat chain. And there's another link behind it. And another one right there. And that's the rim of a pocket watch, it looks like, that was karat. The rims are usually made out of karat. The pocket watch body will be gold filled, but a lot of the older rims will be karat because they wear like that, like the watch stems and the bezel hoop and all that. Them are the little pieces of karat that come off of me running gold-filled items like that wind up over here. So, you know, watch bobs, you got all kinds of little pieces of karat that can carry with gold filled. And that's where these little pieces come from. Now, over here, I have a piece of regular window screen. And that stuff's like powder. It has been sifted through. And this is what I'll use with the ball mill to go ahead and powder it up. And then I'll run it through a screen and get most of those diamonds and everything out real clean. Over here is another bowl with a bunch of scrap trash in there. And you wouldn't believe the things that come out of Goldfield, like I said. You wouldn't believe the trash that comes out, but I process every little last bit. And now the good part that we're going to get to is the karat pieces that I've actually picked out after it's been screened. And these are all pieces of karat jewelry. Listen to this one. Oh man. And these are watch cases, the back of a watch case, pieces of earrings, pendants, that still has some diamonds in it.